Well, I haven't posted anything on the car in ages, so I just thought I'd do a little bit of an update here. I'm going to be doing a little tiny bit of unveiling of what's in the box here, because I got a couple of projects that I want to do. Inside there, I had the carpet fell off of this side right here. For whatever reason, it just kind of decided it didn't want to stay up, so I just got rid of it. And whatever, that's fine. I'm not really interested in how pretty it is. It's a driver. I just like to drive it. Let's wander around here a little tiny bit, see what's going on. Alright, well, in here, dirt's gotten loose in the carbs somewhere, so I got to pull the carbs off. And, you know, if you're going to get to that level, then I may as well work on the oil cooler. See if I can't get the little shrouding there to work a little bit better. And in the box, I've got some other stuff that really gets into this stuff right here. Of course, it's all coated in dust because I do take this one fishing out there on the gravel roads from time to time, so maybe I'll give it a bath at some point. Now, up here in the front, so I've taken my headlight rings off. This one was coated in rust, so I've been cleaning that one up. The headlight went bad on this one, so I was digging through my boxes and I found this light bulb. And when I pulled the assembly out, of course the assembly was all kind of crusty and whatnot, so I decided to clean the assembly up. And I have the components sitting here at the moment, or at least some of the components. Alright, see the screws that hold these guys in right there? They look a little something like these guys. This was also in my package. And of course, when I was pulling the rings off the car, my screws were all rusty. And one of them was so bad that there wasn't hardly any threads. It's like the threads had completely rusted off. So I had to buy a bag of these. Not too bad, but anyway. See how shiny that is right there? That's actually not chrome. It's chrome paint. And I don't know if any of you have ever thought about doing it. It is not this shiny. It could be, I think, that shiny, but you would have to have absolutely super smooth, you know, down here to work with to begin with. And this thing was all covered in pits. So I tried to, you know, clean it up and whatnot, but at some point you just go, I don't have the proper stuff to make sure that it gets all filled out and shiny. It was coated in rust on the inside here, so I've sprayed it with kind of a rust converter primer, and then just to seal it I threw some white. And of course I'll have to clean the outside of it up, but it'll work fine. This guy looks pretty decent. And this is the little ring that sits around the headlight. This is my driver's side one. I cleaned up pretty well. Alright, Sip 1. Geez, I hate to buy from Sip 1, but they dominate, I think, because you get free shipping if you buy enough stuff. So anyway, in here I have a front caliper. Now, I have two calipers over there on my shelf that I forgot that I had, but I began looking at them versus these, and I believe that the ones that are on the shelf are kind of obsolete. I don't think they do those too often anymore. It's a generic caliper. It's got dual bleeders, and so you can take it and put it on one side of the car, and then you can flip it and put it on the other side of the car, so that there's always a bleeder up, which is fine. It's got a dual pin versus a single pin, and I think the dual pins are more common, easier to find brake pads for the dual pins. But yeah, it's a pretty chunky piece of stuff right there. And the reason I bought them, I am continually losing brake fluid. I believe it's coming off of that caliper up there, and I just bought two of them. It's like, why replace one caliper? They're both 35 years old. So, you know, if this one's leaking, the other one's going to start leaking at some point. So now, this is an engine compartment seal. So on mine, I have the incorrect seal in here. This is not the right seal. Those of you who have late model Beetles, you know that there's a lip on the end of this thing that slides underneath the tin. So I'm going to yank that out. Of course, to do that, the motor's coming out. So why am I taking the motor out? So the motor's going to come out because everything kind of vibrates a little bit on the excessive side. So may not look like much. That's a transmission mount. And I was chatting online, of course, with Slade out there in Pennsylvania, and he was like, oh, West Coast Metric. I looked at the price of the West Coast Metric ones, and they were like $45 versus these guys, which are around 10. Let me see if I can get one of these out of here. There it is. And personally, I just could not justify spending that kind of money when a lot of people say that these work just fine. And we will find out. But anyway, I got one for the left, one for the right. And what do I have here? The last thing that I've got, a headlight switch. You know, my dash lights don't dim properly. They just kind of sit there at the same volume, and then they just, bam, they just cut out all of a sudden. And they're not supposed to do that. So one of the problems with that on my car is that when I'm driving at night, which I don't do too often, the hazard light just screams at me the entire time I'm driving along. Oh, here I am. I'm so super bright, and you can't turn me down unless, you know, all the dash lights disappear, and then you can't tell how fast you're driving. And if I get it done, get the carburetors cleaned up, get it idling right, I've got time next weekend. I'm going to do a fishing trip down to the Tallgrass, which is, let's see, 90, 100, about 200 mile round trip, which is enough to do an MPG run. And I have not done a mile per gallon run since adjusting the play in the distributor to get rid of the scatter. So I'd like to do an anti-scatter MPG run, and I'll bet that I can get another 10%. I wouldn't be surprised if I could get 33 miles to the gallon out of this guy. We'll see. Anyway, that's where I stand right now. Later.